Welcome back. So it is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. I am your host, Aaron Smith, joined by Jeff Howe. And we are missing our third musketeer tonight in Ed Mayhall as he is under the weather. But we do have a fill-in special guest this week, joined by none other than ESPN 1530 producer Taryn Bland. Taryn, how we doing tonight?
I'm all right. How you doing? I'm no musketeer, but I did graduate from Bowling Green, so I guess I'll be a Falcon today.
We are not musketeers either, but Ed's going to hate that I called him a musketeer.
I didn't even think about that, Aaron, but that's funny.
Totally thought about that. He's going to be so mad. Not even here to defend himself. Poor Ed.
He's not, and that's okay.
But you do produce for Mo Egger.
Yep, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6. Yes, sir.
So you get to work with my other boss from time to time when he does his fill-in spots, Chad Brendel. How's it working with that guy?
Oh, I love it. Chad's a little bit more into the music more than Mo is, and music is kind of my specialty. That's what I provide to the show, just different types of music. And Chad gets it more so than Mo.
Because it's bigger than hip-hop, right? That's what Dead Prez said.
Big facts. Definitely.
But then you also work with Mo. So how is it working with Mo on a daily basis?
It's for most part it's enjoyable. You do have its moments where it can be a little stressful, especially during like the downtime of year, just trying to help provide something else to the show. But for the most part, I enjoy it. Mo's a great guy. Allows his guys to, like I said, really feel a part of the show instead of just telling us what to do. He actually listens to what we have to say when we have stuff to say. So, yeah, I enjoy it.
So then, do you also work with Jeff F Carr?
Yeah, for the most part, like I said, I guess we're co-workers here. Like he's the producer here as well. So
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Do you do like the phone screenings or anything like that when people are calling in?
Yeah, I'm the first guy that people they call in them. Oh yeah, I'm the first guy that they'll hear.
So
what is that like?
Oh man, I just really want to know what you're calling in to talk about, and you get most people want to call and give me their life stories. Like, just tell me what you want to talk about. I'll put you on hold. But they think I'm Mo or Chad or whoever it is. Like I care about their opinion, which no, don't tell me, tell them.
Help me, help you.
Exactly. Yeah. The more time you're talking to me, the less chance you have getting on with them.
How often do you get people that call in and like
just crazy,
like like say that they're gonna like, hey, I want to talk about the Reds game this week or whatever, and then when they get on with Mo or Chad, it's like this like sideways story going off some crazy land.
It's not so much on ESPN 1530. It's more so when I work down the hall on 700 WLWs, where you got a few more of the crazy people. For the most part, the ESPN 1530 folks are pretty sane compared to down the hall.
All right.
Sounds about what I expected anyway.
Right.
So you can find Taryn if you wanted to check him out on Twitter at Taryn Bland. That's TarrenBland, Bland. But we have you on because we did want to talk some sports tonight. So first and foremost, the Reds are on right now. They are up 5-4 in the bottom of the seventh, and they've been put on quite a little tear here lately. Right around the trade deadline and all of that, we saw the Reds make some moves, but they've been just putting games together. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that they can do that on nights that the Padres and or the Brewers also lose. So we're not really gaining any ground, but at the same time, right now, we're not losing any ground. And one of the points that I did want to make before I hear your guys' opinion on this is last year was a 60-game sprint, and that was the whole season. And right now we have roughly about that left. So for all these naysayers that say like, oh, 7 games is insurmountable, or 4 games to catch the Padres, we're not going to catch them 4 games. That crew, are you kidding me? Anything can happen. Tatis is out right now. The Brewers, I mean, they're set up largely on pitching, and they got like 5 guys out for COVID right now. So anything can happen in a 60-game sprint. So I'm just curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on what the Reds have going on right now, and then we'll get into some of the moves that were made or maybe weren't made.
Yeah, so like you said, the Reds can't seem to win on nights that the Brewers lose, which that happened again. I mean, the Brewers and the Padres both lost the same day that the Reds had the heartbreaker up there in New York, which was a shame. But the Brewers now have Josh Hader out on the COVID. They went so far as to sign Sal Romano off of waivers. So hopefully that leads to a nice little slide for the Brewers here over the next, I don't know, week and a half. But they also have an extremely easy schedule for the next week and a half, playing pretty much all teams that are under 500. So I don't know that there's a true opportunity here in the next week and a half to do much more than maybe maintain pace with them. We got to wait till they get to the end of their schedule where it becomes more difficult as far as records go for the teams they're playing against. And then the Padres, I mean, they're in an awfully tough division out there. Yeah, they're down Tatis, but they made some big moves at the deadline.
Didn't get Scherzer, though.
No, they didn't. That went to the juggernaut that is the Dodgers' wallet.
So what do you got on the Reds, Taryn?
I mean, like I said, this is their time. This is their time to, I guess, have no choice but to make moves. I mean, if they didn't have to play the Padres at all, because it seemed like the times they were looking like to really gain some ground, it's like, damn, we got to play the Padres, and you back down to reality. And like those series hurt them earlier. Then obviously after the All-Star break, coming back and dropping that series to the Brewers definitely didn't help either, especially gaining all the momentum before the All-Star break. But they just got to, like I said, maintain their course. Like I said, they have a easier path than the Brewers as far as the overall totality of the remaining of the schedule. They just had to, I said, just stay their course, keep getting these wins, and say hopefully once the Brewers head out west for a few series, they drop a few, or drop a few against some other opponents. But this is just one thing about sports, about this Red team. Like, you hate to put yourself in that position where you have to rely on others to lose. Like, I much rather, I mean, we all much rather have you control their own destiny, and they kind of put themselves in kind of a pickle, like I said, relying on others to lose. But I think if they just 90 wins, I think that's probably what it'll take to just get in the playoffs. 90 wins for the Reds. I'm not sure how many games they have to win to get that number, but 90 wins I think is their magic number to get in the playoffs this year.
So you're looking at 34 more wins, which makes, I think that means they got to go 34-22 over the remainder, which coincidentally is the same amount of wins and losses that they've had in the last 56 games. So you just got to do it again.
Yeah, I think it's very doable. Like I said, they have a easy schedule for the most part. They don't have to travel out west no more. I know the Dodgers have to come here, I think in September, but for the most part, pretty a very, very enjoyable schedule.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, an enjoyable schedule.
And I mean, I got to be honest, I think this is the most fun I've had watching the Reds. Last year was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but it was only fun about the last third of that 60-game sprint.
And then it wasn't fun after they made
it. Then it stopped being fun. And then you also had, I mean, when Puig was here, I think while we weren't winning a ton of games, they were fun to watch. But we're doing both the winning and having fun And I don't know. I love to see Joey Votto just kind of being Joey Votto, like younger Joey Votto. I just feel like he's just rejuvenated with this roster currently. I think these guys are, honest to God, just having fun day in and day out. It doesn't seem like they're going through the grind and going through the motions of 162. It just seems like they're out there playing a game. And I don't feel like, as a fan anyway, it's been this much fun to watch this Reds ball club as it has been this year in a long time.
And I think that's, that's like projections. Come into the season, this is wide open division. Anyone could win it. And it pretty much just got to take the ups and downs of this roller coaster of a season. Like I said, we had our ups, we had our downs, and don't worry so much about the future. Obviously, everyone wants to win a World Series. That's the ultimate goal. But just game by game, week by week, just enjoy. Like I said, enjoy what these Reds are doing so far. Don't put too much focus on October and down the road. Just, like I said, game by game, enjoy what the Reds are doing. I agree with you. Like, this has been a very fun season, a lot to watch, especially with the emergence of Nick Castellanos this year.
Yes, with Nick, I think a lot of that also spills over to what kind of Aaron was saying with seeing Joey Votto be more Joey Votto, like in all of his interviews. You see the personality and all that stuff coming through. You see the emotion on the field come out a little bit more. It doesn't seem like, obviously, that he's just there to like do a job and then go home. They're having a good time. And then you've got your rookies. You've got, India, who is, if he's not on the top of everyone's rookie of the year list, then I question their ability to analyze baseball. And then you got Tyler Stevenson, and you got guys like Jesse Winker. They're, obviously not a rookie, but a younger guy in the clubhouse that's also having fun and having success. And
that's not even mentioning Vladimir Gutierrez
or Tony Santillan.
Well,
he's come up and done his job.
You're right. I'm surprised I'm surprised he's down in AAA, and I'd be shocked if we do make the playoffs if he isn't actually on the playoff roster.
Oh, if he does, I don't know how you can
take a Hoffman, like a Jeff Hoffman over a Santillan into the playoffs, or even over a Doolittle at that point.
Right.
Oh man, don't get me started. Oh man.
That's not your guy?
Oh no. I much rather prefer the doctor that was back in the 90s.
The Eddie Murphy, as opposed to the old white guy from like back in the 70s.
Yes, Eddie Murphy, Doctor. Yes.
That's a great movie. Great. I guess it's a series of movies. But yeah, I just don't back to the Tony Santillan thing, like his appearance out of the bullpen. And I know Brantley brought it up on the broadcast whenever he came in. Like, he's just a bulldog, He comes out there. When he comes out of the pen, he doesn't have to like kind of ration his pitches to where he's like, oh, I'm only I've got to try and go 7 innings here. He comes in, he's like, I got to go 1 inning and just mow everybody down. And he's got that, like, I don't know, when he comes out of
well, he picked up velo,
and like he's got that, but he's just got this this presence about him,
intensity.
You're like, I don't want that guy throwing the ball at me while I'm up here, trying to hit it, and he's rearing back and throwing. I think he was touching high 90s.
Yeah, he was 98. Mm-hmm.
But he's just he's like when I think of a bullpen guy. That's the guy I think about in the bullpen. I don't think of like Jeff Hoffman coming out of the bullpen.
He's gritty for sure. He's absolutely gritty. And to your point, that's you want that tough guy with that mindset who's like, no one can touch me. I got these little T-Rex arms. No one can touch me.
I forgot about I forgot. It's true.
So the Reds did make some moves to bring in some more pitching, as we've touched on all season. I think everyone has touched on all season. Bullpen has been a thorn in David Bell's side. And love David Bell, hate David Bell, whatever you want to say about David Bell, all he can do is put out whatever relievers are in the pen. And maybe some of those have been questionable calls. Maybe they've been good calls. To each their own as far as that goes. But he's only left with the guys that are in that pen. That said, we brought in some backups in Michael Givens. I'm sorry.
Michael Givens from Colorado, Luis Sessa, and Justin Wilson from the Yankees.
Yep. And
I think in grand total, they gave up a bucket of baseballs to get those guys.
I mean, they gave up nothing. Absolutely nothing. You gave up Gudo, who was not good.
No, Gudo was an extra trade. They got cash back for him.
Oh, that was on the side? I thought that was like a player to be named later.
No, that was an additional because when they sent him down, they ended up sending him to the Rockies for money.
I mean, we'll take it. Like, and people who complain about like, well, this would have been nice 2 weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago, you weren't going to be able to make those trades and give up nothing.
Right.
Exactly.
The Yankees made the trade that they made, giving up Sessa and Wilson so that they could clear some money
to pick up Joey Gallo.
To go get Joey Gallo
and Rizzo.
So,
right.
Hey, they had to give up some stuff so they could go get other stuff. And we capitalized. I'm all about that. Have at it.
Well, and I don't think I've seen an outing from any of these three guys yet. Not Justin Wilson, who the Yankees were more than happy to get rid of with his $2.5 million salary, along with Sessa, who they did not want to lose, but you got to give some to get some, whatever. And then Givens has been lights out. So I love the moves that they made. I'm happy they didn't do anything to really mess with the core of this team, which you potentially we're looking at if you tried to make a move for, say, a Chris Bryant. But they kept the core intact. They kept the future intact. And I don't know. What do you guys think about the moves they made?
Me personally, I enjoy the moves. I mean, everything and any moves. These three guys are much better than what the Reds bullpen has been, outside of Antone before he got hurt and Lucas Sims before he got hurt. Actually, I don't think they're done. I'm one of those who think that before the year's over, they're going to bring Hunter Green up to help with the bullpen. I know he has aspirations to be a starter for his career, but just for this season, I wouldn't mind seeing him, especially if this team is
contending.
Yeah, contending. Help this team in the bullpen. So I think Hunter Green will see major league action regardless, but especially if we're contending.
Well, I only saw today, and I think Chad put it out there on Twitter, but I didn't know that the September call-ups, you're only expanding the roster now to 28. Yeah, it's not the like 35 or whatever they used to have.
Yeah, so the numbers got shrunk. I want to say
30. I think maybe it was 30.
I think that went into effect or was going to go into effect last year. Obviously, the season basically didn't start until September. So I think that's you can still obviously add an extra player on doubleheader days. But yeah, they shrank down the number of players for the expanded rosters.
So that should be real interesting to see what they do with those. I mean, if you're bringing up Sims, you're bringing up Antone, you're bringing up Senzel, you're bringing up me.
Moustakis is going to be back soon.
Are you bringing Blandino back? Is there room for Blandino right now?
I don't think there is.
I don't either, truthfully.
But and you also got to think about Jose Barrero.
Mashing it. He had another home run tonight.
I mean, I think last month the Reds had the NL Player of the Month, the Rookie of the Month, and then Barrero was like the AAA Player of the Month.
Well, I think he was I thought it was East, like the AAA East player.
I mean, however
it's divisions or whatever down there, but yeah.
Player of the Month.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess a good problem to have. Better than
Years
Farmer.
past.
Oh, I know we've all talked about Farmer. He's been on a tear, been playing the best baseball of his career, and he's been doing it while injured. So if he does need a couple days off, being able to slide somebody like Barrero in there, when the minor league season comes to an end, and I still think that those guys can benefit more from getting everyday at bats, obviously, and everyday work down in AAA. But when that comes to an end, and if you can bring him up and use him to spell Kyle Farmer over at shortstop for a couple days.
Well, the only thing about Barrero, as opposed to like bringing up an Alejo Lopez or something like that, would be the fact that if you bring him up, I don't know if that, even if it's in like during the September call-ups, if that changes their options.
But he was up last year. I don't know. Is Clay? I don't know if Clay's still around over in the chat there, but you probably know better than
I don't know how that would work. Like, since he hasn't been up all season, and like, say you had to make a move to send him back down or something like that. I don't know how that would work. But
if it's to win, I don't care.
Yeah, agreed.
100% on that. So, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to go. I'm with Taryn as far as I think 90 is the magic number, and the closer you can get to that 90, especially with looking at the schedule, like, I mean, there's a real opportunity to do something like, I don't know, 16-4 over the next 20 games. Like, you definitely have that opportunity with the teams that are in front of you. I'm not going to say they're going to go like an Oakland Athletics a couple of years ago where they went like, I don't know, 20-0, 18-0 or something outrageous. Like, I'm not expecting that. You're going to have, a day where you just lay an egg, but it should be very interesting to see what they do over the course of the next 60, because to Terrence's point, it is a very favorable schedule.
I said that they could potentially go 15-5 over this little period that they're in here. And the Brewers very well could do 15-5 as well. So I mean, you've really got to, like Terrence said, it sucks to be like, man, we're looking at hoping these other teams lose while we're winning, which is what you want to happen during the whole year. But at this point of the season, it sucks to think that like that's where your destiny is and not like controlling your own.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Now, question for you guys, like, so like when these guys come back, like a Moustakas, Senzel, and all the other guys we just named come back, like, could that mess up like what this team like currently has going on as far as like chemistry and what Bill like has with his rotations going on? Like where do you play Senzel?
Center field.
And do you play him right away?
Well, I think when you bring him up, I think he, if I'm not mistaken, he's been playing purely in center field now down in Louisville. I think he's taken all his reps in center field, so I don't think that they have any plans to put him on the infield up here when he comes back. Which, I mean, I don't know where he's not moving India off second. He's not moving Kyle Farmer off short right now. And then he's probably coming back in tandem with Moose, who could go to, who's going to be probably your third baseman. Hey, look, there's Chad.
There's Chad in the chat.
So I think you do. I think Senzel probably platoons out in center field. And I think that Moose and Suarez end up sharing time over there, probably shaded more towards Moose, depending on what he's able to give you with his bat. I know he struggled a little bit earlier this year, but
how much of that was plantar fasciitis? I mean, that's not something that you just.
And that's the other thing I know we've talked about in the past is that plantar fasciitis. I mean, that stuff can
creeps on you.
It can come right back like that. I mean, he could feel great today and then can't walk for the next 2 weeks.
Yes, Chad, we were talking about you. we were bonding over the fact that we've both more or less worked for you. So you want to give a Chad a shout, Taryn?
Oh, that's my guy. That's my guy, man. Chad, man, always hooks me up. Always brings some of the best food. Has some pretty good wings. I don't know if he's offered you some wings yet, but his wings are pretty amazing.
Well, I
Now,
heard he got.
are those Chad made wings?
Yes, homemade wings. Yep,
All right.
with a little
I know it.
Carolina Gold sauce. Yes, it's
He
amazing.
loves the Carolina Gold. He loves the Carolina Gold.
Ooh.
And I know he got you hooked up with the Hawaiian food too, right?
Oh my, some of the best food I've ever had. I told him, like, if they make it over to UC for some of these football games, I don't even have to go to the game. I will show up just to go get some food and go back home and watch the games. But yeah, some of that food is amazing.
That's fantastic. I love to hear that.
Dining
So
Hawaiian is a restaurant too. So
the Dine-In Hawaiian. I have no problem giving Sage Tolentino, the newest basketball commit, a shout out on the pod here.
Is that the food truck?
Yes.
yes, the Loco Moco, my God, it's life changing.
Like the gravy and the rice and all that, right?
Wait, the
Yes.
Loco Moco, is that something they sell out of that food truck?
Yes,
Well, initially they weren't going to, but Chad kind of talked him into it, right?
I mean, I think he had to, because like I said, we've had the fortune of having him twice, and like I said, just life changing. And be careful how you eating, because like once you eat one, or like if you eat more than two, you'll be ready to take a nap. Like we had an hour left on the show after consuming so many, and it was rough to finish that last hour of talk radio. But
Ready for a nap, huh?
yes,
Is their food truck, is it down here like on the regular, or is it like
It's in Hamilton. I mean, he lives in Hamilton.
right? So
yeah, it's out in Hamilton.
okay.
They were trying. I think they were trying to work something out to try to get them down there for like UC football tailgates over on the grid.
Yep.
So I think they were trying to work that out last
That
time.
sounds amazing.
So Chad says rice, hamburger patty, brown gravy over easy eggs. That's the Loco Moco.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fantastic.
And now we may have lost Taryn for the rest of the podcast here, as he's just reminiscing about food that once was in his belly. So I do want to talk about, you brought up the grid. Seems like a perfect time to segue into UC football. So UC starts at Camp Higher Ground on Friday, and they're going to be there for about 2.5 weeks. I think they report on Thursday, but they have their first official practice on Friday, as I found out last night when we had Brady Collins on the BBP. And I'm so excited about this season. I know Chad has somehow finagled a way for me to have a press pass and sit in the press box this season. Apparently, he announced it last night on our podcast. I don't know if I can do that this year. I would rather do that in a year where there's not expectations of a potential college football playoff spot, because I don't know how I'm going to contain myself.
No cheering, Aaron.
I know. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I have a big decision to make over the course of the next few weeks, because I don't know if I'm literally capable of hanging out in the press box. But that said, Camp Higher Ground, Taryn, I want to take it to you first. What are some of the biggest things that you're excited to see come out of camp? Like maybe some of the I guess position matchups, or who you want to see and how they're doing currently. Like, what are some of the big storylines for you coming into Camp Higher Ground?
I mean, just to continue growth and development of Desmond Ridder. I mean, I think he's the key to this all, for this team to possibly go undefeated this year, which is very, very doable, very likely to happen. So just to continue to see how he's gotten better during his off season after camp, and then also I'm just want to see how they implement the few Evan Prater if they're going to use him at some point this year too. I mean, because obviously this Desmond Ritter's last year, and I know Fickle's not a huge fan on the using 2 quarterback system, but for these few games, I would like to see like UC get out ahead a lot, and just see what Evan Prater can actually do in real game, in real time, taking some real reps. But for me, like I said, just continue the growth of Desmond Ridder. The defense it's going to be solid. It's going to be legit. But yeah, the growth of Ridder for me is my biggest takeaway from camp.
Sorry, I do want to correct myself. Not a field pass, a press pass. So I would be in the press box.
Well, I mean, no cheering at all.
Right.
You thought Chad was hooking you up with
No,
the
I knew.
big package.
I knew I wasn't going to be on the field. Like, I mean, that's even like you can get away with a little like yeah on the field, but I can't do that up in the press box. Like, especially this year where there's potentially like actually ESPN games. Anyway, for me, like, I'm excited, obviously, to see Desmond Ridder. Kind of building on what Taryn was saying. Des went through the Jordan Palmer camp this summer, so I'm excited to see like what his takeaways were from there and how that's going to translate onto the field. I think I'm also excited to have Jerome Ford be the guy and like to be the number one guy, but also knowing that we have Charles McClellan coming back off of his injury. Everything I'm hearing about Ethan Wright is very, very good. Brady Collins said last night on our podcast that he's not been this excited about the wide receiver room the whole entire time he's been at UC. And that's not even mentioning Josh Wiley and Lenny Taylor at tight end. So while the defense is very, very ballyhooed, and we kind of know like between Maije and Sauce and Kobe Bryant and Darian Beavers and the defensive line rotation is going to be deeper than we've ever seen it with, Briggs out there his first year lining up with a C-Paw. It's going to be insane. I don't even know that we're going to see the same formation in a game with how many different rotations they have positionally. That all said, I think that the offense is in the shadows of the defense because of just what everyone expects out of this defense. I did see the power rankings came out today where Cincinnati's at 11 in ESPN's preseason power rankings, or at least whatever was released today by ESPN. That's fine. Keep them off the radar. They're not in that top 10. Fine. I think Luke Fickell would rather it be that way. And I think they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder because they know that they had Georgia on the ropes. And I think that's been haunting everyone on this staff and everyone who's a carryover from last year. And I'm so excited to see that September 4th kickoff against Miami, and just to see what the season just lays out for these Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have touched on a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm most excited to see those kind of early tests against Indiana and Notre Dame. They did have Georgia on the ropes. It came down to a monster clutch field goal, to win the game.
Yeah.
We talked to Ethan Tuckey earlier this year. You could tell. I mean, it was pretty soon after the whole thing, but he still had that like. I mean, he was even excited before like everything has happened so far that they've been at camp and whatnot. To talk about how great they were going to be, and you just see all these hype videos come out, and it pumps me up. I just want to see them shut all the haters up that still don't believe that UC football belongs on a national stage, and when they go out and stomp a mud hole in Indiana and Notre Dame and continue right on rolling through an undefeated season, and see how they can try and work a way to keep them out of the playoff. That's nonsense.
Well, so Indiana is ranked in the power rankings under us. Notre Dame is ranked over us. But the entire season hinges on those two games.
Absolutely it does.
If you want to be in the playoff, if that's your ultimate goal is to be in the playoff, the entire season hinges on those two games.
And I'm by no means saying that you need to overlook the rest of the AAC because obviously it's conference games, and we all know conference games there can always be. I mean, heck, look how UC played like ECU for the last few years or whatever. I mean, it was always seemed like it was like a nail biter when it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So you've got those games that you can't. And I don't think Luke Fickell lets them overlook anybody. I don't think that happens. I don't think that's something that happens in this team. But they very clearly have very large targets set on top of those weekend games against Indiana and Notre Dame. And like you said, that if you don't win those games,
and that's not even bringing up UCF nip at night on a Friday night.
No, they're not ready for that. They're not.
God, I'm so excited about this season, though. And I mean, I have, Taryn, to let you know, like, I have second row in the flat end zone seats, season tickets. So I don't know that I want to just forego that to sit in the stuffy press box this year. Like, I think I might be able to do that. I don't know, maybe next year. I could have done that any of the
well, can you pick and choose when you go to the press box, or do you, like, if you go once, we got to go for the remainder of the season?
I don't know how nice Kaz will play if I'm like, I can't do that for UCF, and then, but I do want to come back. I don't know if he's going to play nice like that or not, or if I get kicked out for cheering accidentally. I mean, I think I could handle myself in Miami, but like if I go in and like just one time I'm like, "Ugh!" and like I get kicked out, like I don't know that you can ever come back from that. Like, no, you're the cheer guy. You can't be the cheer guy. No shot. Chad's telling me no. I think that was in response to the you can't pick and choose. So it's such a decision.
I think you might. I think as much as it is to sit up in the press box, I think you might be better.
I don't think
the locals.
I'm not capable. I was talking to my best friend about this today. I'm like, I'm not capable. We're built different. Me and my best friend. Like my best friend, he's like the quiet, reserved guy, and I'm not that. And so I'm like, we are built different. And he's like, yeah, you're a damn psycho when you get going. And I'm like, I know. Like I don't know, man. I don't think I'm capable of sitting in that press box.
Chad's about to rescind the press box.
So we'll see how that plays out. I got some sleeps on that. I don't know how soon we need an answer, but I'm sure after I get off this podcast, I don't know if he's calling Taryn first or me first, but either way, I'm sure I'm going to talk with Chad tonight. He's like, "What the hell are you doing, man? I give you this opportunity, and you just shit on the hand that feeds you." But
you just don't want to embarrass Chad up there.
I mean, I don't want to embarrass anybody up there, myself included. Like, he said already on the phone to take his name off the list. Oh no.
I just don't want, because I produce some of the UC football games on the radio side. I just want to hear, if I'm producing one game and it's like a close game, and then I hear a big noise in the background that's not Dan Ford or Jim Kelly, like, who is that? Then
as I'm being carried off by my collar.
Like, there's just a guy pointing at there and pointing at the door, like, there it is. Don't come back.
It's like the scene in Tommy Boy, like, get out.
Right.
Do you guys validate? Get out.
Oh gosh. I mean, that's a big decision you got to make there, Aaron.
I know.
But if you need somebody to fill those front row seats.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I did want to touch, though, because we haven't talked about it on this show. I know it's been talked about a lot lately, as I think Bearcat Journal has had like 100,000 hits on this particular page, which is insane. But conference realignment is becoming a real thing since Texas and Oklahoma are leaving the comfort of the Big 12 and heading to what's going to end up being a gauntlet, I think, for both of them in the SEC. Now, that said, that leaves a lot of question marks for every team that's remaining in the leftover 8, as people are commonly referring to them as now. And what's going to happen with the American Conference? What's going to happen with the Pac-12, as there's some talks apparently picking up there with potentially a Pac-12, Big 12 leftover 8 merger. Who ends up with the ACC? Because I can't imagine they remain stagnant as the SEC is stacking teams. I think even Florida State is coming out with like a public announcement that, hey, no, we're not talking to the SEC, which I think everybody knows is code for we are definitely engaged in contractual talks with the SEC. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? There's going to be a huge shakeup. I hope it doesn't end up with the SEC completely leaving the NCAA and doing their own thing as like this super conference that everybody's kind of talking about. That would be gross, I think, for the sport if you end up with like 24 teams in a super conference that don't even touch anybody else, and play for the national championship where no one else has a shot, even though that's kind of what's been happening over the course of our entire lives. But that all said, where do you guys think that UC has the best chance of ending up, and what do you think kind of like some different scenarios are that shake out with this? Jeff, I started with Taryn last time. I'll start with you this time.
I know we've discussed this before, off the podcast,
off the air, sure.
I really think that the most ideal place for UC to land is in the ACC if they can swing something there. I know your good friend Coreyville Carl tweeted something out earlier about that. Whoever knows, what'd you say?
That's not my guy.
Whoever knows if what he's tweeting is real or not, or where he gets his info or whatever. But I think that the ACC is probably the best landing opportunity. UC is not going to end up in the SEC. The Big 12 has a very real chance to not exist for much longer, or not exist at the same
at all
at the same scale that they exist now. Or at all. I mean, they could literally, teams could end up in the Pac-12. But, maybe a couple teams
cherry picking them.
Maybe the Big 10 grabs a couple more teams just for more media stretch. So I think UC, if they're going to go to one of them, that the ACC should be the target, and that's where they should hedge their bet. I don't think you can. I mean, if it goes to a 12-team playoff and they're looking at like being rolling their dice to be the team that is always leading the I don't even know if it's the group of 5 anymore, but that tier, if you're looking at always being the team leading that tier to get your spot into the 12-team playoff every year, that's good, but the money's still not going to be there. If you go to the ACC, you're looking at the money. Right now, you're riding a high wave, at least in football production on the field. We can all only hope that basketball is not far behind.
I think you'd also hope that Clemson stays and doesn't end up being poached by the SEC.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I feel like the ACC is probably also the only other one. I mean, you're not going to end up in the Pac-12,
no.
So. And they're probably at least a fairly stable conference. Like those teams aren't going to be joining this direction across the country.
And Ohio State's going to make sure that Cincinnati doesn't end up in the Big Ten.
You're not going to go into the Big Ten. So I think going into the ACC is probably your best bet if you're going to be joining one of these bigger conferences. And like I said, you're riding this high wave of production on the field and hype for UC.
They also redid all the facilities. Both Nippert and Fifth Third have had the upgrades since the last time this all went down in 2016. So
if you can slide into the ACC, Luke Fickell has already proven he can recruit at a high level in a quote unquote second tier conference. What can he do if he, and just keeping coaches here? Like obviously, like Luke Fickell he's built different. For lack of, he is,
Yes.
Any other coach at this point would have already been like, hey, thanks for, boosting me up the ladder, and I'm out, and I hope you guys continue to do well. But that's not him, and I think, moving on up into the ACC is probably the target.
What you got, Taryn?
Oh boy has happened to my beloved college football with all this realignment talk. I'm quickly becoming one of those old men who's going to tell my nieces and nephews, back in my day, 10 years ago, college football was so much better. We had the Pac-10 and oh my God.
And a video game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We don't even have a video game anymore. Like, I know they're potentially planning on bringing it out, but I can only imagine the game mod that you're going to have to build into the game now if you're talking about like, well, we're getting rid of an entire conference.
Exactly.
What?
And have one super oh my, yeah. Man, well, as far as UC goes, I think the best bet is to go, if the option becomes available, is go to the ACC. My only thing is just how fast will a school like UC be able to compete in those conferences on both the basketball and football side, because we know right now, as far as we know, Clemson is still in ACC. How fast can they compete for an ACC title up there with Clemson, Florida State, if they ever decide to get their act together? Who else knows what Miami's going to do? But then also on the basketball side, I mean, you got the blue bloods, Duke and North Carolina, which would definitely be fun to see those schools come to Cincinnati each year, especially during basketball season. But yeah, that's just my I think that's the best bet for UC. But like I said, just how fast once they get to the conference, how fast will they be able to get adjusted and be able to compete and start competing for American Conference championships and bigger and beyond, honestly.
Well, and obviously there's some ties to the ACC with John Cunningham. I know he's got some personal ties with, I believe, the commissioner, if I'm not mistaken, having worked under him at some point in his career, or worked with him, either way. But no, to your point, absolutely. I mean, if Clemson, if like say Cincinnati was in the ACC this year with the team that they have currently built, I don't know that they wouldn't be competing for the actual conference championship. I think that's a realistic thing. Mm-hmm. I think that the only teams that you could potentially mention this year anyway, at least as we're looking at it right now on paper, and power rankings and that kind of thing, is North Carolina and Clemson. I think those are the only two right now, if I'm not mistaken, that are in the power rankings. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm with you though, as far as it's gross what's happened with ESPN being in control of college football and more or less like what they say goes. I mean, we even saw the commissioner of the Big 12 try and do a cease and desist on ESPN, and they just were kind of like, nah, fam, we good here.
Mm-hmm. And what about that signature at the bottom of the
I don't know what to make of that. There's not a single B in that guy's name, even though his name is Robert. Whether he's signing Bob or Robert, I'm not sure at this point. It was just a lot of lines, but none of them were B's. We did not take the same cursive classes, he and I.
Do you still even write in cursive?
I mean, I know how to write my signature in cursive. I don't know when the last time I wrote even a sentence in cursive. Right. I could do it, but I don't even know that they're even teaching cursive in grade school anymore.
They brought it back.
Good.
They did stop for a while, but I only write my name in cursive. I don't think I've ever. I remember having to write full essays had to be in cursive. That was awful.
Even if you brought back like a font, I don't even know that script font is even in cursive anymore. Like I think it's just fancy, but it's not actual cursive anymore. I don't know, man.
Kids these days don't write anymore; they just type everything. So
shit's why, and even then, it's not even like actual good grammar, Ed. And it's also not like punctuated correctly. Like the word ARER is just the letter R, U, YOU, or is just the letter U. And don't even get me started on like there. 2-2-2.
Oh man, yeah.
Your. Ugh,
Tangent. Bring it back.
just makes my head explode. But no, I mean it's Bowlesby's signature is absolutely wild. And I mean he did the cease and desist. ESPN has made just a mockery at this point of what college football used to be, and the TV money is getting outrageous to where you're talking about a record. It's going to be a record-breaking contract when the SEC signs their next TV deal. But what does that leave left for your ACC, your even the Pac-12? Like, I mean, I don't know how much the Pac-12 even brings to TV. I think they're just on the late night tip for people trying to play the bounce back on money they lost earlier, and so they're watching like the late night Hawaii game, trying to make all the money back from everything that they lost earlier in the day. Like, it's wild, absolutely wild. And the fact that gambling now plays an actual role in what these TV deals are going to be, because let's be honest, like the only reason I have cable personally is so I have the Reds game on. Like it's on in the background right now, but I know our co-host Ed doesn't get the Reds game, so he's trying to bootleg Reds. I hope the internet people aren't listening because he doesn't do that, but he's actually doing that. I mean, because Hulu doesn't have the rights, or YouTube or whoever it is that doesn't have the rights to Bally TV. So like the only reason people are still getting any type of live TV at this point, truthfully, I think like at least the large majority anyway, is just for the live sports. So I don't know what kind of role that's going to play in these TV contracts. I don't know what ESPN is going to do behind the scenes, because let's be all the way real. They're just a thief in the night with all this shit, man. It's gross how a sport that used to be innocent has kind of morphed into this animal at this point. But I don't know. That's my little soapbox.
Yeah, I almost cried the other day when I found out, I guess, the CBS won't be having SEC games no more in a few years. And I was like, no, like that's one of the things that I look forward to every Saturday, watching the SEC on CBS. But oh man, yeah, I'm becoming an old man real quickly.
Get off my lawn, guy.
Yes.
I think it'll be even more interesting to see where Notre Dame ends up with all of this, because at some point they're going to have to like just have roots in a conference, right?
But their TV deal is like stupid lucrative.
But
which is the whole reason they haven't moved football. I mean, the rest of their sports are ACC.
Depending on how the playoff is structured, how the conferences are structured, when all the dust settles after all this stuff, though, they might have to be in a conference in order to be even a contender for the actual playoff.
Yeah, this is true. If conferences are big enough that they and don't have enough out of conference games available to schedule, they're not going to, like you said, they're not going to be able to build a resume strong enough to be considered.
It'll be real interesting to see when all the dust settles, and who knows how soon that will be, because they're talking about Texas, Oklahoma, not until 2025, but no one actually believes that. So I don't know when the dust will settle, but I'm curious to see what the next domino is to fall.
I am excited that I feel like UC is, in a much better place right now to make, to make a pitch and an offer somewhere without having to try and scramble the jets.
I would absolutely agree to that.
100% agree.
So as we're still talking about college football, I don't want to talk anymore about realignment because that's plenty. But Cincinnati dropped their Let It Fly video this week. So I don't know if either of you had a chance to watch the Let It Fly first video in the what's essentially the UC Hard Knocks. Did you have a chance to catch it?
I did get a chance to watch it. And I just have one question: Why wasn't I the DJ at Squad Fest?
You got to take that. You got to take that up with Coach Brady Collins. You got to take that up with him, man. But I was at Squat Fest, and that was outrageous. I mean, it was like 7 a.m. You got Brady Collins out here just like amping everybody up. They're doing a jump, jump, jump. Everybody's in a circle. We're getting crazy. Get the fucking rope. And like, just, it's 7 a.m, dog. Like on a Friday. And of course, like the kids are excited because they're like, it's 7 a.m. As soon as we get done with this lift, we're out of here for a long extended weekend. But that was out of control crazy. It was the first one I've been to. Shout out to Brady and Chad for allowing me to be part of all that. But it was insane. Chad did mention the DJ is Brady's brother-in-law. So I don't know if you're going to get pool with with Brady Collins as far as trying to be the DJ when unless you're trying to do like dueling DJs or something. I don't know how that works.
DJ battle. Yep, a DJ battle for it.
I mean, I don't know you could get any more hype than that, especially at 7 a.m. Just
Make
everybody.
it happen, Chad.
But it'd be old school versus new school, maybe.
Ooh, that could be a good hype video.
But so what were your other thoughts though when you saw the Let It Fly video, Darren?
No, like I said, Squad Fest was the biggest takeaway. I mean, like, even though I wasn't there, I mean, and what they shown in the video was just a glimpse of what it actually was. You couldn't help but watching that, but just feeling that energy and getting hype yourself. Like
my favorite part at Squat Fest. Amazing. My favorite part of Squat Fest was like the bags where they had like the body bags, where they had the punching bags, all that stuff, and they had all, like, Brady had all of the opponents on the schedule this year on all the punching bags, and they just destroyed it. They destroyed all of it. Like, I don't know that there was anything left taped on at that point when everything was all said and done. Like, they were just like flying elbows and like, I'll hold it up, you spear it. Like, they just went insane when the different groups got to that particular event, if you will, and it was absolutely wild.
Yeah, I can't wait for episode 2. I mean, 12 minutes long is not bad. Wish a little bit longer, but I know they can. I guess you're only allowed to show certain things, but definitely excited for episode 2 to dropping this Friday. And then it was just seeing it was just funny, like watching the guys like be in front of the green screen and just saying, like getting the crowd hype that's going to be played during the games and everything. That was fun. That was funny to watch.
I agree.
The Let It Fly thing, that's going to be what, a 3-part? Is it a 3-part series?
I think it's going to be 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. 6. I thought it was 6.
6.
Oh,
yeah.
Good
so,
Lord.
I mean, you'll have over an hour of coverage.
So I haven't watched it because I am of the ilk that I like to sit down and watch like a whole season's worth of things.
You like to binge
once.
You are a binge watcher. Yep.
So I haven't watched it yet.
Chad said 6.
So Chad says it's going to be 6. So I have to wait till all 6 come out before I can watch them, because otherwise I'm going to be mad when it's over and there's not another one to watch.
You're still going to be mad at the end when you're like, I just watched an hour's worth of UC stuff.
But then the season, it's all going to, they're all coming out before the season starts, right?
That's true.
So then right when it's over,
bang, bang,
right into
Miami.
Season, and I can cheer and you can't.
Yeah, I was about to say the last one is set to air September 3rd. So yeah, you could binge watch them all September 3rd, right before the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Get hyped. Then the game, I'll be cheering. Taryn will be cheering. Aaron be in the press box.
It's TBD. it's TBD. All right. Sounds like Chad already made the phone call anyway, so who knows?
Aaron's back to the front row.
Second row, but that's fine.
Oh, all right. Second row.
My takeaways though, watching the videos, were just I think we're finally going to see some of these personalities. I'm really excited for the masses to actually get to take in Higher Ground at Higher Ground, as opposed to like just little snippets here and there that you see on Twitter. You'll actually get to see like a good amount of footage from Higher Ground. So I think the casual fans are going to actually get to see maybe something that they haven't really seen before. Why are you throwing your hands up? Like, it's not a spoiler. They're going to be there for 2.5 weeks. You didn't think they were going to film there?
Turn around and look at your TV, Aaron.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Man. That's all right. There's still another half inning.
3-run bomb.
Gross.
Cam is not going to be happy that Mariano Hembry has fallen off.
I did see, I mean, they got out of a bases loaded jam earlier, but man. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they can do with Higher Ground and kind of how they present Higher Ground to the masses. Because like I said, I don't think people have gotten to see too much of that. And then just the personalities. I mean, we got to see, I don't know how many people have gotten to see like Josh Wiley's actual personality, and you kind of got to see some of that in the bond that clearly him and Desmond Ritter share. As Desmond Ritter was like hiking him a ball in one of the shoots that they did. But no, it's I don't know. I don't know that any other program is doing this, and maybe a couple are, who knows, but we've not been exposed to this deep into just what the program is. So it's going to be a very cool experience for, even just the casuals.
UC's content team is amazing.
It's grown so much over the course of the last like 2-3 years, really.
And if I recall, like Fickle had a big hand in like kind of shaping that program, kind of based off of like, I guess, some stuff that was going on up at OSU before you left, right? I
do believe so, but I mean, also when you're winning, it doesn't hurt to add money to the program either. So they've expanded how big the team is that's even doing content for both football and basketball. I mean, we've already seen, I think, more content in the last 3 months of basketball than we saw maybe the entire time John Brandon was here. And I think some of that has to do with just the fact that they are growing those media teams and kind of allowing us to see a little bit more behind the curtain than we had been with even the football team, which was fairly transparent before in most people's estimation. But it's very cool to see.
Absolutely.
So Bengals camp opened up, switching gears completely. And Joey Burrow is 100% back on the field. I don't know that he's necessarily 100%. I know I think he says he is, but obviously they're taking their precautions with him in the preseason, as I won't be surprised if we don't see a single snap out of him on the actual preseason game field. But we are getting to see the defense make a mockery of the offense here over the course of the last few days. And I don't know. What do you guys think so far of what you've seen and what the media has offered you from training camp here? And what are your expectations going into the season? Jeff, go ahead.
For one, I get keeping Burrow out of preseason because you don't want him to get hurt. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I just, I mean, it's been a while since he's been in a live game of any sort. I still think like probably not, maybe a couple series that he should get with in one of the preseason games.
You need to get hit once to knock the rust off, right?
You've only, I mean, I'm sure, there's only 3, right? There's only 3 because there's 17 games now.
Correct.
So you've got 3 preseason games. So I don't know wherein these teams are going to shuffle in, their starters or whatever. I don't know that you put him out there against a team when they're running their guys out that are doing their best to make the team, because I feel like that's when you end up with a guy who, goes a little extra maybe after Burrow is throwing the ball and gets in there on him.
Well, ideally, he wouldn't be running against guys that are necessarily trying to make the team.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, put him. I don't know how they're.
If he's running against the ones, those dudes are on the team, right?
Right.
You're not putting him up against the 2s or the 3s.
Right. So, and that's what I was getting at. Like, I don't want to. I think he needs to get out there for some live snaps before the season starts. But if they choose not to, he didn't have any last year, and he was doing fine.
That's a great point.
until he got hurt. So, yeah, I think Joe Burrow is going to be back and better than ever. They said he also went to Jordan Palmer's camp and added like 6 miles an hour to his, like, I guess, whatever.
And he already had zip. Like
he was at 48 miles an hour. He's at like, I think 53 they clocked him at now. And like guys like Brett Favre were like 64. Peyton Manning was like 59. So he's added to that. So, hopefully it's fast enough to get by the defense, but not fast enough to break fingers. Because I know Brett Favre had several broken fingers to his credit.
Well, before you break down any other positions, we'll get to other positions because I do want to take a little bit of time on this, as this is really our last segment before we're done here. But Taryn, what are your initial thoughts on what you've seen so far out of Joe Burrow?
Well, I'm gonna be 100% transparent with you guys. One, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, so see Burrow struggling just gives me more hope for week one. Just week one, that win. So I don't mind Mr. Burrow struggling up until then. Now, past then, if he wants to become the best quarterback in the league, have at it.
So you don't want to see him do any preseason snaps. You want the first snaps to be against your first team offense, the first real game time that he sees.
Yes, against Mike Zimmer's Minnesota Vikings defense. Yes, correct.
We let you borrow.
Yeah, can we? Oh.
Well, you might be able to have him back after this year.
Only if we can take Justin Jefferson too. We're trying to rebuild LSU here.
Yeah, you can't have JJ. No. I might give you Kirk Cousins though. You can have Kirk.
I don't doubt you'd give up Kirk Cousins in a New York second, man.
But as far as Burrow, I think you do have to run him out there. Even like I said, even if it's just for like one series, he needs to be out there, get hit, like I said, and shake off the rust. Just hearing Tony Pike report from here, being working here at ESPN 1530, talking about it. He basically said like it took him to get over the mental lapse of coming off injury. It took him taking that one hit and was like, okay, I took this hit, I'm fine. Okay, now let's get going. So obviously you don't want that to happen week one. So yeah, final week, like week 3, if you just want to run him out there for a series and then pull him, that's totally fine with me. Yeah, because we're gonna talk about the rest of the team, man. So just for Joe Burrow, yeah, week 3, I'll just run him out there last final game of the preseason, week 3, and put him out there for a series.
So I'm with you guys. I mean, I don't want to see Joe Burrow get hurt any more than anybody else does. I mean, I think that it was a ballsy move to sit on the throne during like their media pictures, just with the scar. That was the first I think anybody had really seen the scar as he's sitting on that throne that they built for the introduction of the new stripes, and was absolutely crazy to see that wicked knee scar. So I'm super excited to see him this year. Obviously, kind of some of the toys they got to play with. It should be a fun season at the very least, and it's very interesting to see even some of the things that the upper management is doing to kind of embrace the culture of what's become a very strange and welcoming Twitter Bengals universe. We've had Bengals super fans on the show in Captain Bengal and the Bengalorian and Houday Baby. We've had them on the show, and just to see the way that this community has grown Bengals Twitter over the course of one offseason has been absolutely insane. And then to see Mike Brown talk about, he said, I fucked up. Like I wasn't listening to the fans. My granddaughter's the only one who actually has the backbone to talk back to me, and I'm embracing what she's saying. I'm doing the Ring of Honor. And he's It's very strange. I don't know how to feel about any of this because I feel like it's always been the world against Mike Brown and Mike Brown against the world. So this has taken a completely new turn, but I'm excited about just everything they're doing right now. Joe Burrow being back is just kind of icing on the cake at this point. Like, I mean, for him to bounce back as quickly as he did, he exceeded all expectations. And, again, just the front office is also exceeding all expectations this offseason. So it's been a very strange offseason.
And then it's also weird to see like all the national media people
they hate
talking
us.
about the Bengals. No, they're actually like I've seen quite a few like this year, like saying they're picking the Bengals to make the playoffs and everything. And obviously you just a lot more Bengals coverage. I mean, obviously that's due to Joe Burrow, but like I said, it's just been weird like seeing like a lot more Bengals talk from the national media this offseason.
What's the show? I think it's on ESPN where the girl just keeps wearing Bengals gear. Good Morning.
Good Morning Football.
Is it Good Morning Football?
I forget what her name. I forget what her name is, but yeah, she started that last year. She was like embracing the Houday shirts and the like old school ones.
But the rest of her coworkers also have been talking positively about the Bengals, and I think they're maybe the only show because I think ESPN as a whole, I don't feel like they don't give us a whole lot of love. But that particular show has been super hype. And I know Boomer finally, it feels like it's been, I don't know, a decade since Boomer Sison.
I think we lost Aaron. Aaron has
sometimes good
Aaron?
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back.
You're back.
But I feel like Boomer finally had some good things to say about this team. And it's been a decade since he did. So it's good to see that happening. I know, I we'll get to probably the offensive line next, but Frank Pollock kept all the offensive line guys after practice today because they had Anthony Munoz and they had Dave Lapham talking to the guys and saying these guys took the Bengals to the last Super Bowl they were in, and this is where we want to be. So listen to what they have to say. And they were the only unit, I believe, still on the field after practice today doing that. But
they presented Boomer with a new striped jersey. One for him, one for Gunner, right?
Yes.
One for his son. Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff is awesome, and I know you've touched on it. We've had them on like the super fan like explosion. I mean, there's like the Orange Arrow, the Bengals Flash, the Bengals Hulk, a litany of Bengals stormtroopers. I feel like have popped up. I mean, it's nuts. And it all kind of, I think it all goes back to like what you said. You've got Mike Brown has somehow turned over a new leaf and is like embracing Cincinnati fandom for the Bengals, not kind of pushing back resistance on them. So I like it. I think it's going good places.
So offensive line, a lot of the national pundits said, I can't believe you took a receiver, and we'll get to the receiving core, but I can't believe you took a receiver. You didn't take a generational tackle, which remains to be seen. Let's be all the way real. Instead, we brought a kid from Fairfield here in the second round who went to Texas, and they brought Riley Reif in. They actually have our center's name. It evades me right now. Completely. Thank you. He's back from injury way sooner than anybody anticipated because people were talking about he might not even back here week 1, and he's already back on the field. So that's great to see. Trey Hopkins being back. It's this line I don't think is as bad as people want to give it credit for. They drafted so many linemen, both on offense and defense. I think it ended up being like 8 of their 11 picks or something outrageous like that, like just in the trenches. So they did seal up. Whether you want to say that it wasn't a first round talent, it remains to be seen. But I don't think that the line is in shambles the way that they want to paint it out to be. Unlike, I don't know, Pittsburgh or Miami, where nobody's talking about how bad their lines are. So what are you expecting to see out of the lines, or out of the offensive line anyway, as this season progresses?
I expect to see a lot because you guys stole one of my offensive linemen in Riley Reef from Minnesota, and
You're welcome.
he's a damn good lineman.
He didn't have any
So-
sacks last year, right? Gave
Yeah,
up no
that's correct.
sacks.
Correct. I'm kind of upset we let him go, but he'll be down there providing veteran leadership. He will protect Joe. And I mean, like I said, you took guys in the draft along with Riley Reef in the offseason. This offensive line is much improved from years past. So, I mean, obviously, they still have to get out there and show it. But as of right now, the offensive line is much better.
Well, and I did hear that Frank Pollock made Jonah Williams put on weight, which actually doesn't surprise me at all because he comes in and he's literally like the dude. Like, I mean, just comes in here and he's just like, this is how it's going to be. I'm Frank Pollock, yo. And I mean, you've heard Trey Hopkins in his post practice pressers rave about the fact that he's back. Joe Mixon, I don't think he might have been the most excited because I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he led the league when Frank was here last, or at least was up there anyway.
I think he led AFC.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, what's not to be excited about Frank Pollock being back in the house? I think that's maybe the biggest improvement that this line could have possibly had, and getting the guy who used to be here and the shenanigans that came with him. Getting him out of here is nothing but a breath of fresh air for everybody. And it gives Zach Taylor somebody to hold him accountable as opposed to just being one of his guys. So we had Frank here before. It's a good thing. But, Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Look, all I'm looking for out of this offensive line this year is keep Joe Burrow safe, right? I mean, that's their only job. And we saw too many times last year where it seemed like they were unable. I don't know if they were in bad shape. I don't know if they were taking plays off. Like I don't know what was going on, but there were several highlights where Joe Burrow was taking a shellacking, and it looked like some guys weren't doing their job.
Well, that game where he got injured against.
Yeah, I mean, you cut out for most of that, but I could tell what you were saying. And
so I said the Washington game, that wasn't the only hit he took when he got injured.
No, I mean, and it wasn't the only time he was taking hits.
Right.
So I think you got a guy like Frank Pollock's coming back. They're excited about him. I think he's going to get things put back in order. You picked up Riley Reif, who Aaron is sad about, but I'm happy that we've got him here, and I'm just looking for them to perform at a professional level. And
well, with Andy Dalton being gone, we had a roster spot open for Gingers, so we took the best one.
Fair enough. Hey, did you see Andy Dalton? Did you see Andy Dalton rocking the Mountain Man like monster beard?
My
with
God.
Yeah.
He should have had a beard his whole career. I think he's a whole new man.
Oh man.
Hey, how do you feel about Andy Dalton and the Bears against your Vikings?
Oh, I'm feeling very good. As long as Andy Dalton's the quarterback. Well, no, I can't say that. I can't say that because Andy Dalton did lead the Cowboys last year in Minnesota and beat us. So I can't say that. I just feel honestly, but really, I feel their defense. Like that defense is still 100% legit. It's crazy. But I think we'll do a lot better job if Andy Dalton's up under center compared to Justin Fields. I fear Justin Fields more than I do Andy Dalton.
Fair. All right. I don't know that we're going to give you another opportunity to talk about your Vikings again, unless you're talking about trading Justin Jefferson here. But
yeah, I mean, we'll welcome him with open arms.
Open arms, man.
Like,
well, as long as you're returning Joe Burrow.
That ain't it. That ain't it, bro.
All right.
Bad trade. Nah.
I don't think we have the salary cap space for it, to be quite honest. That is a horrible contract. So I want to talk about the weapons that because getting kind of late here, but we do have wide receivers. We've added a very large piece in Jamar Chase. Tight end, they added a Thaddeus Moss. You bring back a CJ Uzama. Joe Mixon, now behind a line that might actually be competent because that's how Frank Pollock works. What are you looking forward to seeing with the weapons that Joe Burrow has put, or the weapons that they've put around Joe Burrow, rather?
Man, it's just gonna be, like I said, I'm just reliving, especially with Jamar Chase. Just I just go back and go back and look at that 2019 LSU season. Amazing.
Thing of beauty.
The Bengals obviously, have one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL.
Would you put him like top 5, top 10? Where are you feeling right now?
Right now, I would say top 10. I have really had to sit down and think before I say top 5, but easily top 10.
I think it's really hard to put him in the top 5 with Jamar Chase still kind of being an unknown. But I'm comfortable putting them in the top 10 for sure. I don't know that they're not the top receiving core even in the conference, but I don't know that they are either.
Mm-hmm. This is gonna be interesting to see how they balance it out this year, because obviously Joe Mixon is coming back. You paid him all that money. I don't imagine you have Burrow. Man, I hope this is the case. Have Burrow throwing the ball 60 plus times again this season. So I'm just interested to see how the Bengals are going to balance out the run game with the pass game, like I said, with all these weapons Burrow has at his disposal.
What you got, Jeff?
I think it's going to be interesting. You've got a guy like Joe Mixon who can, he can carry the team. But you can give him some breaks. They can't stack the box on him, right?
Right.
They're not going to be able to. He said it himself. He's like, go ahead, do it, because then Burrow's got a group of receivers that he could just play catch with all day. So let's do that. And if I guess the Reds just lost, is that what you're?
Yep.
Great. I guess I'll just turn off my stream. Thanks.
You're welcome.
But it's one of those things, like, they're not going to be able to stack the box against Mixon, which is then going to open up the field for him. And if he's running all over you and you decide that you're going to try and do it that way, you've got a group of receivers that are just as dangerous.
When your fourth best receiver is Auden Tate, that's not terrible.
No. It's between Higgins and Chase and Boyd and then Auden Tate. Like, just pick one, because those guys have all shown that they can perform at a high level.
So is CJ. I know he's coming off a terrible injury, but he's done the same.
And that's not even touching the tight ends. So
correct.
As long as it goes back to, as long as that offensive line can provide the proper coverage to make sure that Joe's not running for his life back there, I think they're gonna be fine.
So to transition from
gaudy numbers,
from that particular comment that you're worried about the offensive line, the fact that you bring in a Jamar Chase when we didn't have an over-the-top receiver last year because AJ Green was a shell of himself last year. You just alleviated yourself of potentially, who knows how many coverage sacks that opens up. Not to mention the fact that T. Higgins is now your 2. Okay, cool. And Tyler Boyd's now my slot. Let's go. Let's go. How many coverage sacks did you just figure out because you got a guy that can get open at any given moment, who also, by the way, has crazy chemistry with this quarterback? So it's going to be a wild ride of a season. But let's talk about the defense, and we'll talk about the defense as a whole just to wrap this all up without talking about special teams, because I think the dude who's kicking 60-yarders in practice has the job. Done and done. Seal the deal. This isn't going to
talking about the Florida Gator with the cannon leg.
Or is it Evan or
Evan
McPherson? Okay. Just seal the deal on that, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with punter if Kevin Huber makes another year here, or if they go with the young kid in the Ohio State kid. We'll see. I'm not terribly concerned about punter, to be quite honest. They're both good punters. I think you can say that.
Well, hopefully you don't have to see the punter this much this
Right.
season.
I'm with you. 100% with you on that. So let's talk about the defense. We've seen the defense making plays already in the short camp thus far. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I am not surprised either, because generally speaking, it takes the offense a little bit to get clicking, not to mention the fact that, your quarterback was injured last year. You have a new number one receiver. Everybody's kind of T. Higgins is figuring out what it is to be a solid two. AJ Green, who knows who the 1 and 2 were at that point. But I think the roles are pretty well defined right now. And so the offense is figuring it out. Defense is capitalizing. Defense also stacked some weapons with the signing of Mike Hilton, with the signing of I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Awuzie. I was way off.
He was what, the Cowboys? He came from the Cowboys?
Yes, he did come from the Cowboys, and he said he wanted to be part of this. Like, he was on record saying that he wanted to be a part of this team, particularly, which is crazy coming from Dallas. So they made some moves. They brought some guys in. They swap out a Carl Lawson for is it Hickerson?
Hendrickson.
Hendrickson. There we go. It's getting late. I've had some beers. From the Saints, who had a great year in sacks last year. It's a different look defense when you don't even have your number one linebacker from last year at this point. And that's not to say that you don't necessarily bring him back. I'm not even sure he's landed with anybody at this point. Josh. I was about to say not Evans. No, he came from the Ravens last year. He was on a 1-year deal.
Bynes.
Yes, Joshua Bynes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a whole new look as far as some of the defense goes. You lost the corner, William Jackson III. I'm really struggling now. Good Lord. But you have a lot of new pieces too. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the defense? And we'll wrap it up and get.
For me, the defense has been looking good so far in camp so far, I would say, which is a good thing to see. I mean, and hell, besides the last game last year against final game against Baltimore last year, for those past few weeks, like, the defense has really stepped up, and like, I guess they carried some of that momentum over into training camp this year. My only concern for this defense is that Trey Waynes, who the Bengals paid like a number one receiver, thank God, because he was terrible for moving to the Vikings. But you paid him to be a number one receiver, and I don't think he has been a part of training camp as of yet. But like you said, they replaced Carl Lawson with Trey Hendrickson. Linebacker play is still interesting to me.
Question marks for sure.
Yeah, you got some guys there, but me personally, I always feel like a team you need that one, at least that one solid linebacker who is going to go out there and make plays and
Logan Wilson showed
tackle in the face.
flashes of that last year.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Obviously you got Jesse Bates, one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in football.
He's not getting a whole lot of love nationally.
He plays for the Bengals, true. Aaron.
I mean, but PFF graded him last year as the best safety in all of football.
Yeah, but he still plays for the Bengals, so people overlook it.
I think they're ranking him right now at like 4.
Yeah.
Which I can't.
Go ahead.
That's my safety.
I can't name. I think I can name 3 safeties better than him.
No. But
then once again, the return of DJ Reader is going to be a big help to that defensive line as well. I expect the Bengals to come out and perform a lot better. Like I said, my biggest question is just that one side of Trey Waynes. I have to see him do it before I'm a believer in him. But that'll be my biggest question mark for that Bengals defense.
What you got, Jeff?
I mean, that's pretty well my thoughts, but you go and you look at the last couple of days from, obviously they just started kind of, running some 7-on-7s and some stuff like that down there, and you get these little clips that come out, and these defensive guys are going in there, hard. They're breaking up passes, they're stripping the ball. I think they're gonna be a pretty tough squad. It looks like I think today Chidobe Awuzie stayed after practice and was continuing to work. And apparently he broke up this is from Dan Horde's Twitter. I guess he had a couple deflections and broke up a pass
Tyler
to
Boyd
Jamar
pass.
Chase. Yeah, down to a pass to Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Is what Dan Horde's. I'm sure there's probably one of those in there too, because it said several deflections.
I think it was a Mike Hilton on
and Mike
Tyler
Hilton,
Boyd.
like think about that, like bringing a guy in like that from
Steelers,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
You bring him in, and he kind of said the same things that these other guys have been saying that have been coming here and signing with the Bengals. Like, I want to be a part of this. Like, it's that Joe Burrow effect.
Yes, it is.
And on top of the fact that, like, you can look at it like it's this Joe Burrow effect of like getting guys to come here, but then there's that other effect of I want to now perform and maybe perform at a level above what I've ever done, because I'm coming here to play for this guy that I think so highly of. I'm not just gonna quote unquote mail it in and
I think we got a shot.
Right.
So
I mean,
it should
I'm
be
looking for good things. Obviously, there's going to be probably a little bit. We're like a week out from the first preseason game, week and a half.
Yes,
like that. So obviously, those first couple preseason games, we'll see some of the guys that are scrapping to try and grab a special team spot or whatever they're working towards. But we might get a couple flashes of some of these other guys in the early preseason games, and then we'll be ready to go in the jungle.
I can't wait to get this season started. I mean, I live 2 blocks north of the stadium, so it's going to be rocking down here, and I'm excited to see people back in tailgates, especially without what
you got to go down there and sneak into tailgates.
I don't have to sneak in.
Week one for me, I'm gonna be down there in my JJ jersey, gritty and all throughout the tailgate. So if you see a guy gritty in a Justin Jefferson jersey, that's me.
I'm trying to find Bengal Jim's tailgate, because he is sponsored by I think Mad Tree, and it's all you can drink free beer. It's just there for the taking. So I am trying to be at Bengal Jim's.
So maybe that's it, Aaron. Maybe you can yell and cheer for the Bengals, but then you can sit quiet in the press box on Saturdays.
No, I'm gonna yell from my window at my apartment, because I'm gonna go to the tailgate and then I'm gonna go back and watch the game at my house where it's warm the whole time.
So basically, all the built up emotion from the UC game that Saturday before is all going to be out to sea for the world to see on Sunday?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do about any of it. I don't know what to do about any of it. So, final idea here is just while we have Taryn here, just throw out a number. Final record that you expect the Bengals, just because we have you here. Keep in mind 17 games.
Right. That's what I'm trying.
It throws you off a little bit. You can't go 10-6 or 8-8 or.
But I'm gonna go 10-7 and just barely missing the that third wild card spot.
I'm gonna say 9-8 right now until we see a little bit more out of camp.
I'm on the 10-7 bandwagon.
All right.
So,
well, Taryn, thank you on a very, very late notice for joining us. It was a half hour before the podcast started that I reached out. So thank you for coming on with us. We do appreciate it.
No problem. Hope I didn't sound like too much of an idiot.
nah.
No, man, it's all good vibes here, man. Good vibes only, right?
Exactly.
Big facts. Yes, sir.
So this was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. I am Aaron Smith. This was Jeff Howell. And again, thank you, Taryn. You can find him at Taryn Bland, TarrenBland. And sometimes you can hear him on the radio when he is doing his Mo Egger show. And I think Chad probably gives you more airtime than maybe Mo does. But
yeah, just a little bit more. Then I also also DJ on the radio, 102.3 The Beat every Friday and Saturday night at 10 p.m. So you guys out at OTR, if y'all driving downtown or whatever, turn on 102.3 The Beat, you'll hear me.
There it is.
Cool.
So this was Pardon the Punctuation, and we're out.
What?